right, it is the first official day of BEETS, and instead of the night cruise starting at night, this year we are starting at 7 a.m. So we all have to do a temperature check before every shift. So today we only work a few hours, and then we're off for the rest of the day, all day tomorrow, and then we start our night shift tomorrow night, I think at 10 or midnight, something like that. It changes all the time, so just kind of go with the flow. So far I've already got 20 hours in before my first shift through orientation and all the training that I did on the skid steer, and then I picked up some extra hours through my foreman to help him move some dirt. He had a project that he was working on and he needed an extra hand, and I was lucky enough to get those hours. So off to a good start here, and hope to get a bunch of hours in today before they call it quits and the night day crew comes in, and then we'll start the cycle, or the official cycle, come tomorrow night. So that's it for now. I'm gonna get set up and see what's next. All right, so I'm taking a little break. It is the calm before the storm. So we haven't had any trucks come in yet, but within the next couple of days, it's gonna be a non-stop truck line all the way down there. Sorry about the wind noise, but that's what the boom looks like. And that's what piles the beets. So all the beets travel up that conveyor, and the beets get piled in a huge pile, and then we keep moving back that way until we can't go back anymore. So it's the office. That's where I'm gonna work this year, which is nice because on a windy, cool day like this, it has heat and it has AC if it gets too hot. So all those beets we already stacked today. There was none there when we started, and today's a slow day. So that truck actually has a belt underneath that feeds the beets out onto the hopper, but the other truck behind it, you can see, is a dump, so it needs to dump the beets down into the hopper. Conveyor belt moves it to the main belt. The main belt takes it all the way up, separates the dirt from the beets, and then drops it down onto this long conveyor, which swings back and forth and piles the beets to the height that's set. So what I'm doing is laying down all the tubes. So that's pretty much the operation. It's pretty simple, but it is going to get a lot colder than it is right now. It's probably in the 50s, and you can see how long the tubes go. So basically this piler will just back up and keep backing up until it can't back up any further until the beets stop. So these are all the culverts that are going to have to be set by the end of the season, and all of these have cold air that blow through them. So one of my jobs is to lay these down underneath the beet piles so that cold air can blow through them and keep the beets from getting warm until they're used, so that way they don't spoil. So let me go down here and show you with the ones I've already laid, and also show you a little bit about this machinery as well. All right, so you got 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts. It is going to get really windy out here. I'm sorry, it's just the only day I'm really going to be able to do this. So you have two wings of the piler. The trucks drive onto these wings, and then they dump their loads, as I showed earlier. So they load up into this conveyor belt here, and I'll show you. The operator of the whole thing sits up there. I did a video on all this last year, but I know there's a lot of new viewers that might be interested. So that's the conveyor that then goes up to that side. There are two different conveyors, and I'll climb up here real quick and show you what the operator house looks like. So this year they think they're gonna show me how to operate this, but I'm not sure yet. But it would be a good thing to be able to relieve the operator when I'm not busy on the skid steer. So it's definitely more quiet in here. So now you can actually see what goes on. So the truck loads the beets onto this conveyor here. That conveyor loads onto that conveyor and then goes up that chute where it drops down. into a separator that separates the dirt from the beets. The beets continues on up to the beet pile, and then the dirt goes up these conveyors, which is the dirt return. So when the truck's done, it pulls up there, that returns their dirt, so when they get weighed out, their dirt is also weighed. So that way the company is not paying for dirt from the farmers, just the beets. Down there you can sort of see the culverts without the reflection from above here, and I'll get down there closer. But all those beets that you see there, those were all just set today in a very light shift. Actually, we didn't work a whole 12 hours, and the trucks only came every so often. It wasn't that busy, and that's how many beets we got. So there are piler stations like this all over the surrounding states, and just in this immediate area, I think there's like 6 of them within a 20-mile radius, and it is a lot of beets. So there's another view of the dump, and then down there is the start. So, and when this thing gets jammed, you do have to go in there and take out all the beets and throw them over the side to unjam the belt, or so if they can work on the belt or anything like that. So it's not just standing around, it's not just in a skid steer. It can get really dirty. This was a great day because there was no mud, and that was really nice. Last year it was muddy all the time. Today it's just dry. All right, so from the bottom, there's the dirt return where the trucks would go, get their dirt, and then turn around here and head out. So sometimes they have to back up, sometimes they can turn around without a problem. So here are all the culverts that I need to move. And here's one of the fan tubes. So they already started them. They got 2 on each one. So these blow the cold air. And what I need to do is pick up these tubes and align them here. And then basically they need to, like that one there, line up with each other. So they don't exactly have to be straight in line, but they do have to line up when there's a gap. So that's the name of the game right there. And then you end up piling beets at the seams so that there's not called a blowout. And a blowout is when the beet pile starts to move, and if too many beets came down and hit the seam, it would push it this way, and then you got to pull all the beets away and reset the tubes, and it can take a very long time. So for that reason, put the piles of beets there. That's 2 to 3 scoops right there. So when I did all of this, that is a lot of scoops of beets, and they wanted me to do the whole pile there because that's the first set of culverts, and they wanted to make sure that didn't blow out. The rest of them will probably just be done on the seams. But these tubes are pretty long, not exactly really fun to ride around with. And then here is the tool that you need to use. So I need to connect that to the skid steer, and then the top of the tube goes in there, and then you can lift it up and pick up the tube and run around with it. But while you're trying to do that, you've got people walking and running around here, and you also have trucks coming through here and backing up and turning around, and so a lot of opportunity for things to go wrong. I'd be lying if I didn't say I was a little apprehensive about doing the job, and I guess to be scared is going to keep me safer probably. So you walk up to the beets here and you'll see how big this pile is. This pile is only about 19 feet, and we go to 30. So right here is eye level, and that is 19 feet. So imagine another 11 feet on top of that, and they're all dumped by the top conveyor there. So it is a lot of beets. And just to give you an idea how big these things are, so that's one. This is probably about half the size of some of the beets. Some of them are at least twice that size, but I haven't seen too many that big. And the thing about these is, even today and through the rest of the week, supposedly they're still increasing their sugar content while they're in the ground. So the longer they're in the ground, the more sugar they have, and the more sugar they can get out of them, so that it could end up on your countertop and on your dining room table. So this is where a lot of your table sugar comes from. So people get it confused. They think that everything that they eat is cane sugar, but it's actually sugar beet sugar as well, and you wouldn't know the difference unless somebody tells you. Some cooks can tell the difference, but I didn't even know I was eating this stuff because it tastes so similar. So here's another set of tubes, and I'm going to go around the back here and show you what the back of the pile looks like. But first I'll show you what these fans look like. So it is not fun being near these fans when it's already freezing outside. That's just blowing because of the wind. But when they have these things on and air is coming out of the ends of the tubes and you have to stand in front of them for whatever reason, it makes freezing feel like 30 below. It is absolutely insane. So here is the back of the pile. Didn't have a whole lot to do today because the pile was still making its way to the culvert, so I kind of came back here and got all the straggler beets up against the pile, so it's nice and clean. So when they come to get the beets, they'll bring a big front end loader here and then just start scooping them. But at the end of the season, I was told they put like this huge Arctic cat up on top. They level the top of the beet pile and then put a huge tarp over the whole thing, and then with the air blowing underneath, it keeps everything cold, and they can get the beets throughout the entire winter season and up until the spring, I think, before they use the last of them. So that was our view this morning, and now the other side of that pile is going to be our view for the next 2 weeks. All right, so that's what I do. Of course, we have to wear all of our protective gear, helmet and everything, and vest, but in the skid steer I don't need to wear some of the protective gear, which is nice. But so now it is, I don't know, about 6 o'clock. I go to nights, so tomorrow night at 10 I need to show up. So I'm gonna go grocery shopping, I'm gonna do a couple of other things, and then I'm gonna try to stay up till 6 or 7 a.m. so that I can get onto the night shift schedule. So anyway, that's kind of what I'm doing right now and what I'll be doing for the next couple of weeks. So feel free to leave your comments below, ask any questions, but that's pretty much what I know from last year and this year, and I'm kind of looking forward to this year because the weather looks a lot nicer than it did last year. Last year was horrible. For those that saw my videos, it snowed, it rained, it was muddy all the time, it was miserable, and I was outside for all of it. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.